Leanne, we talked about Bill Belichick in North Carolina a few weeks ago and went in depth on what that all could look like and the transition from the NFL to college football and how much the game has changed on the collegiate level and looks like the NFL these days and might be a perfect fit for him. And that general manager component to what all these programs have to do now. And you've got some thoughts about Bill Belichick and him going after, we mentioned and you highlighted some of the under the radar guys he went for initially, even going to the Ivy League. But now he's going after some big fish on the high school level.
Well, we're back to those recruiting rumblings, of course. Camp season's in full swing, 7-on-7's in full swing. So and of course, even in the dead period, quiet period, now that visits are back on college campus, we'll see a lot of guys. It's going to be a big weekend in Chapel Hill and an even big weekend for Bill Belichick and his staff down there, hosting a lot of key recruits, but two guys, not one, but two blue chip edge rushers are going to be heading to Chapel Hill this weekend. Bill Belichick, we knew when he took the reins that he was going to take a unique approach. Of course, when he hit to the transfer portal, he was not going for the top tier guys. He was looking to fill voids, players that brought maturity, instant impact players, even recruiting in the lacrosse field. He's Bill Belichick. When everybody's running away from the fire, Bill Belichick is going to be running towards the fire. But when it comes to the high school football recruiting, he's going for the big guys, the top blue chip players, and it could very well be not a double hit for edge rushers in Chapel Hill this weekend. First, starting off with the one guy that he's just 5-star, oozes with talent. He's the number 2 edge behind Maryland commit Zion Ali, who we've talked a lot about. Cardo Meadows, not too far off the road over from Gonzaga at DC, already about 6'6.5". Man, this kid, when you watch him on film, I hope I have an opportunity to see him in person. But man, he jumps out on film, Mark. He's a really rangy edge. He's just got a rare combination when it comes to his skill set, from his movement to his frame. He's just physically also impressive for this 2026 class. It's no question when you watch his film why he's just so top of the line, and definitely Bill Belichick is going to do everything. He'll be heading down to Chapel Hill for a visit this weekend. Again, his size and his frame are just extremely impressive. He brings a lot of physicality, athleticism. He's just effective when it comes to being an edge setter. And of course, we always say that Bill Belichick likes those multi-sported, those guys that can play. And he's also a pretty successful high school basketball player. So again, he's got elite size, frame, but his movement and his skills, obviously with his basketball background, are going to bring a lot. So look for him to be down in Chapel Hill this weekend. Bill Belichick looking to eke him as possibly, at least get lucky with one edge rusher.
Absolutely. And you're also high on a guy that is on the rise. He's on the rise list, and we're talking about one Landon Barnes.
Well, before we go to Landon Barnes, I just have to go back because we forgot the second edge rusher. That was on me because I followed through. The number 1 edge rusher in the country. He's number 5 on the On3 rankings, out of Princeton, New Jersey. So Bill Belichick, like I said, looking at some of those elite East Coast players. And he is also set to visit is Luke Waffles, another big guy, 6'6", 245 frame. This is another kid that just has a lot in his toolbox. Even though we don't hear a lot about him here down south, he's definitely making huge moves and impact at the Hun School out in Princeton, New Jersey. Really highly developed talent coming out of the East Coast that Bill Belichick is really high on. He's going to be a kid that, again, will translate, I believe, at the next level. He's got super speed. He's very powerful, really physical finisher. And again, going back to Bill Belichick, really liking those athlete kind of style guys. And Waffles definitely no different. Not only does he play football, he runs track, and he also is a basketball player. He will be in Chapel Hill this weekend, of course. So Bill Belichick looking to really really create some Bill buzz over in the Chapel Hill, but not more than be just the hype. So it could be a big, huge recruiting weekend. If they're not able, if they could possibly land two of the best edge rushers in the country right now in 2026, Luke Waffle, and also in 2026, Carter Meadows. So a big weekend, a recruiting weekend down in Chapel Hill for Bill Belichick.
The offensive linemen get sometimes that pancake. That became a stat a long time ago. I don't know what could possibly be made up on the other side of the football for the waffle analogy there, but we'll have somebody else work on that. Now I get my take on Landon Barnes.
Now you do, and we are back on the Duncanville train again. If you don't know about Duncanville football, and probably one of the best places to get developed if you're here in the state of Texas. Now it is not in the Houston area; it is the DFW. But what we talk about, this is a kid that I've had the opportunity to watch this past season live and in the flesh as well as in the tape. He's really been on the rise. And again, a lot of these kids outside that, that don't get the opportunity to be seen by the national scouts really make their footing. And this is why this off season, they are definitely on the move, because these 7-on-7 camps, these Under Armour camps and combines really help elevate them. And Landon Barnes is one of those guys that really has had this talent. He did it. I said the same with Keelan Russell. When Keelan Russell, everybody got on the bandwagon. Where did this talent come from? He's always had it, just never really had an opportunity to showcase. But at the Under Armour Dallas, Landon Barnes was already a 4-star heading in, but he really just caught the eyes of so many. And he's definitely going to be one to watch. 6'4", 245 pounds. I mean, already building up a nice offer sheet. Recently, Ohio State, of course, and LSU putting down the offers after that Under Armour camp a couple weeks ago. He's really a star on the rise and on the move. I think he's just one of those kids that I saw all week, all season long, be consistent, and he produces when and is consistent. And those are two things we talk a lot about it, that some of these elite kids, we see flashes of it, but they lack that consistency. Landon Barnes is not one of those kids. He's all, like I said, some of the offers he's looking at is Georgia, Oregon, Arizona State, of course, Ole Miss jumping in there, hoping to keep that Texas pipeline going. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about how they're keeping that going. For Ole Miss with Ruby, Mark, and myself here. So tune into that Ole Miss live show here in just a few minutes. He's just he's another edge rusher that just jumps off the page, super explosive. He's got a quick first step. Really versatile. And again, I think he's going to be one of those players that, even though he is young and elite and comes from an elite program in Texas high school football, he's learned to separate himself. But I think what makes him one of the most valuable players outside of his talent is his consistency. And he still has not reached the ceilings. A lot of upside with this kid. We will definitely be watching him, and hopefully we'll get out to Duncanville sometime this spring to be able to catch him in action. But again, if you guys don't already know his name, Landon Barnes, edge out of Duncanville, going to have a promising and bright spring. Again, he's an explosive player, impact player. He just knows how to maneuver and just navigate through offenses and pick them apart. So again, another edge rusher. Talked a lot about the edge rushers. Again, they were always vital to the defense, but I think this season, especially with the young guys, a lot of the young edge rushers are really trying to make a move when it comes to getting seen in some of these bigger programs. So again, Landon Barnes out of Duncanville is on the rise, and I look to see and hopefully bring him on the show so we can talk more about his recruitment. But definitely a lot of schools interested in his promising talent.